The wait is over. You were waiting, right?
Oh, God. No. Please, no.
The end is nigh. Darwin and Cat are back.
Pets, we love them. So much that in the US alone, people spend well over $100 billion a year on their cats and dogs. And that number just keeps climbing. But it always hasn't been this way. Just a few decades ago, a lot of dogs didn't live in the house. They lived next to it, in the yard, in a doghouse. But remember Snoopy? He didn't have a cozy bed inside, and we all loved him. He had a roof and a strong imagination. And cats, honestly, they had it worse. There was a phrase people used to say just before going to bed. Did you remember? To put out the cat. And people did. Yeah, it's not great. Cats roam neighborhoods freely, getting into fights, getting injured, and worse, casually disrupting entire ecosystems. So Cat and I were what you call pet people, right? Not crazy pet people. Our animals don't sit at the dinner table or wear tuxedos, but they are family, and we love them deeply, and we miss the ones we've lost too. Well, most of them. We'll explain. This episode explores the rise of pet culture, the good, the over-the-top, and the incredibly weird, from backyard dogs to emotional support ferrets in the produce aisle. Something changed along the way. Welcome aboard. This is Pop Culture Garbage Barge.
Get on the boat, weirdos.
So I once had 32 gerbils.
God, really? What?
Okay, first, just get it over with. You can throw out all the gerbil jokes you want at me later. I've heard them all, but first, I'd really like for you to give us some history.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that. I did have a gerbil once, but she choked to death. R.I.P. Duchess.
Oh.
My homie Darwin, he's got a master's degree in history. So here's his lesson. Yo mama, word.
So here's something wild to think about. Dogs have been hanging around humans for somewhere between 15,000, 30,000 years, back when Cher was like a child. and it probably wasn't even intentional at first. Wolves just started lurking near human camps, eating scraps, and at some point both sides kind of figured out, this works for us. Hunting, herding, guarding, things like that. Dogs had jobs before they had beds. And then cats come a little bit later, right? Cats have got to be on their own terms. So around 9,000 years ago in the Middle East, and honestly, cats being cats, they didn't want to be invited, right? Like, come on in. They're like, no, human, I don't want to be in here. Hello, human. So humans started storing grain, and grain attracted mice. And of course, cats are like, I couldn't help but notice you have a rodent situation, and then moved in. So we're going to fast forward, right? Woo, to the 1800s, the Victorian era, when pets start becoming companions instead of just co-workers. You know, keeping a dog or a cat becomes kind of a sign of middle-class comfort. The SPCA was founded, believe it or not, in 1824. And suddenly, we're talking about animal welfare as an actual concept. But here's the real turning point, and I love this story. Before 1947, cats were mostly outdoor creatures, as we noted in the intro, barn cats, alley cats, and they came and went as they pleased. And then Edward Lowe invented something incredibly life-changing: kitty litter. So once kitty litter was a thing, cats could live inside cleanly. And that one invention basically is responsible for the indoor cat as we know it.
Aha! So this is when the cat moves in and never leaves. God, I love it. I got a cat that way, but keep going.
Me too. There's a story about that later in the show. Meanwhile, pet food becomes a whole industry as well. So now you got animals living in the house, you got to feed them. And before the 1900s, pets just kind of ate whatever scraps are around, which we're going to hear today, probably not the most healthy choice. Post-World War II, that consumerism era, this boom hits and you get canned and dry dog food. And suddenly advertising is tell people that buy your pet proper food is what you do as a responsible pet owner. And then we hit the 2000s and things go next level. Pet insurance, specialty diets, grooming spas, dog birthday parties, emotional support animals on airplanes. That was more recent. Pets just aren't in our homes anymore. They're in our families. Okay.
Yeah.
32 gerbils.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, okay. Because little me wanted a dog more than anything.
So you got gerbils?
Okay. That look. You're giving me a look. Just get it over with. Hit me with the Richard Gere gerbil jokes. I've heard them all. Lay them on me.
Right. Let's see if I remember one. Two gerbils in a pet shop are talking, and one says to the other, if Richard Gere comes in, tell him you're a hamster.
That's okay. All right. That's actually pretty solid.
All right. Thank you.
What's Richard Gere's favorite childhood game? Give up? Hide and squeak.
Oh,
no. My gerbil story. All right.
Yes.
I am going to dedicate this story to your gerbil, the little nibbler who passed.
She choked on one of those little like corn like snack sticks. It was like in her little throat.
Oh, what was her name?
Duchess.
Oh, okay. Duchess, this is for you. Oh, gosh. She's in gerbil heaven looking down. So here's how we came to have 32 gerbils. As I mentioned, I love dogs and I begged for a dog. I mean, begged. And my parents finally gave in and said, we are taking some random cousin's Siberian Husky. Fluffy. Cool. For some reason, these cousins didn't want him anymore. So Friday night, we go and we pick up Fluffy, and Darwin, it is the happiest time of my life. We played games. I rode my tricycle and he'd follow me and life was perfect. And he went back Monday morning.
Why?
Because my parents decided that he shed too much and our air vents were clogged.
Well, I mean, his name was Fluffy. What did you expect?
What now? Maybe we'll get a cat next. Because I didn't know about cats yet. And I'll explain that later. Then my parents had a question. My mom sat me and my brother down and said, how would you two like to have the best pet on earth? And I thought, this is it. A dog. We're getting a dog. We're getting a dog. And then my mom said, we're getting you and your brother your own gerbil. I'm like,
so that's two.
What?
Did you know what a gerbil was?
No. And I'm thinking, what is a gerbil? And then, my parents explained it to me that it's this small burrowing rodent. And they told me why it would be so great, so much better than a dog, which I can't remember them having an actual reason. So I said, okay, I want a girl gerbil. And my brother immediately said, I want a boy gerbil. And we got them and we named them Jack and Jill. And soon we had 32 gerbils. Why? Because these guys fuck.
Okay, you just laid that right out there. So were they in the same cage?
Well, yeah.
And they get you guys a boy and a girl?
Yeah, because I wanted a girl.
Did you know there was a boy and a girl?
Well,
don't your parents know what boys and girls do when they get put together in a little cage? Your parents had reproduced too. Sorry.
Yeah, no, they had. There's evidence of that. I remember my mom distinctly saying, put them together, they won't do anything. Like my mom trusted the gerbils not to get it on. That's what a dear, innocent, sweet woman my mother was. Little fun fact about these beady-eyed little fuck pets. Their gestation period is about 25 days. They can drop 10 babies at a time. And check this out. This sounds like Star Trek. They can get pregnant again the same day.
Oh, baby.
Really?
Yeah, and they were mean, Darwin. Like, I just wanted my gerbils to love me, but every time I tried to pet them, they bit through my finger and they smelled. And I just, I wanted to love them, but it was kind of hard. So you want to hear how it wrapped up with the gerbils?
I'm kind of suddenly glad mine choked to death.
You were spared all the gerbil bites that I had. We were about to make the big move to California. And naturally, I assumed that we're going to take our now massive habit trail system in the car with us. Nope. About a week before moving day, my parents said, hey, good news. The gerbils found a new home. And that was it. And all these years later, I never had the guts to ask my parents what happened to our 32 gerbils. Goodbye, Jack and Jill, and 30 others.
Trying to think, what would you do with all them besides let them go? I mean, like bring him to like a snake farm. Hey, dinner
that's
served.
so much awful. At least they have a chance at living a good free-range gerbil life. Like in a parking lot of a Pantry Pride in Staten Island. No, okay. No. Yeah, so that was it.
Wow. The first pet I remembered, well, it's not really the first, one of the first. There were a few. There was a dog named Spice. There was a dog named Poochie. The Spice was a troubled dog. My brother and I were really excited. And this dog would chronically eat plastic things. And he had fleas that we couldn't get rid of. It was bad. And my poor brother's room got infested. It was like not a good situation. And so one day we came home from school. He's just gone. And my mom's like, oh, he went to the farm. He went to go live on the farm.
That farm our parents always told us about. The generic went to the farm line.
Farm. Which either meant it died or they gave it away.
Right.
So then it worked and we believed it. It was all good. And then a few years later, we come home from school and mysteriously a new dog has appeared. Her name was Mitzi.
She just like showed up?
Sorta. So the story was that there was this batshit crazy woman who lived a few streets over and her dog was pregnant, but her husband and her daughter were afraid she would kill the puppy. Are you following this?
Oh my God. Yeah.
So this woman was nuts. Like she was doing things like going into the next door neighbor's house with a knife in the dark and lurking over them while they were watching a movie on the couch. Like they would turn around, she'd be like, ah! So yeah, definitely Huzik crazy. And I don't know how these pieces came together in the story, but somehow mom said, I will adopt the puppy so nothing happens to it.
Okay, wait. I just got to stop you because if I hadn't known you for such a long time, I'd find this crazy. But this actually tracks. This is very Hoosick Falls. Very.
Yes, it is. And Mitzi was a very sweet dog. She was like some Pomeranian mixed with something. A little black dog. And I had her through most of high school. But then she started to have health problems. Like all of her fur fell off except for on her head and her neck.
Ooh, there's a sight.
That face says it all. And then she became diabetic. So we had to give her insulin shots daily. And that became my job. And then eventually when she died, I don't even remember, but she was around 7. Keep that number in mind. This is going to be a theme. You are probably the biggest cat lover, animal lover person I've ever known.
This is true. This is absolutely true.
And I remember when we were doing the morning show on WZMR, and even before that at WEQX, occasionally there would be some sort of news story or something going on. And a few times it would involve some terrible thing happening to a kitty. And do you remember what you did?
Mm-hmm. I ran screaming out of the studio, waving my arms. And after that, I quickly checked myself into some heavy-duty therapy over what had been reported in the news, which I will not discuss that or any sad animal stuff today because you don't want to see that meltdown again.
No.
So,
you're a big cat person, right?
Yeah,
always.
But you know what? It always hasn't been like that. That's actually didn't really happen till I was a little older.
Really? Wait, I can't picture you not being a cat person. Like, did you hate them or something?
Oh, God, no, nothing like that. I just didn't really know about cats because I grew up in a solely dog, or as we said in New York back then, dog-centric household. So let me take you back to little me.
And I did too. Same kind of household.
Yeah. I only grew up hearing about dogs and really vague, sinister shit about cats. Like, I don't think they were popular in Italian-American culture, at least not in our little part of New York. So.
Yeah. So, for example, like what you talk about, like.
Okay. All right. So my grandmother, who was born in Sicily, and she was so Italian, her name was Giochina. So I
love that name.
Isn't that great? Giochina Garofalo. That was my grandma. So she had a theory about cats. One day in the old country, my grandma's out, she's on a walk, and she looks down. And to her horror, there's this raggedy little kitty rubbing against her leg. You know, Darwin, the way cats rub against your leg, right? She was convinced that this cat wanted to have sex with her. Hence the frisky rubbins. And from that day on, she would loudly complain, that cat tried to get fresh with me. He crawled up my leg like he wanted to get me pregnant. So at this time, we did have a pet. We had a little white dog that my mom found in our church parking lot. And she took him in And she named him, and it actually still kind of embarrasses me what his name was.
Oh God. Is it like a cliche?
It's a cliche. She named him Benji because she loved the old Benji movies. Those were her favorite movies.
Walt Disney Pictures presents an incredible motion picture adventure. Benji.
Benji was everything you'd want in a family pet. And he was just perfect and sweet and fun. And he was my childhood pet until 16 years old. One day, I'm in the yard and I spot this dirty, angry, little freakazoid wild beast of a cat who wandered into our yard. And that is what we now know is the CDS at work, which we call the cat distribution system.
Okay.
All right, check it out.
You're going to have to explain this.
Cat distribution system is when you're just assigned a cat in life. And this cat had kind of a winky eye and was so tough and looked kind of beat up, like he'd seen shit, you know. And I couldn't get near him. He was so angry and wild. And back then I didn't know anything about feral cats, but I just thought, well, what if I do something that I'll call kindness therapy? So every day, I walk up as close as I could get to this little guy and I tell him that he's beautiful and he's loved and he's worthwhile in this world. And one day I'd love to pet you, little kitty. And it worked. He rubbed up against me and then he started coming in the house and my parents were just like, who invited Damien from The Omen to live with us? Because this thing is the devil. But it was at that point that something really changed in me and in this little kitty too. And he turned into this nice little love ball. And in turn, I became his slave and I named him Barney.
Barney. And this, you know, what would your parents expect? They named you Cat. It was inevitable.
Right.
Did Barney have an owner? Did you find somebody who...
Yeah. So this uptight neighbor came over
Yeah.
and I'd never met her. And she's like, oh, this is our cat. It was getting beaten up by the dog and just left one day and we don't want it. By the way, we call her Jenny. Her? Wait. Jenny? What? Like Barney's a girl, which totally makes sense. I didn't know anything about cats at the time, but Barney's a tortie and torties are, you know, always female with rare exceptions. So she came to live in our house and she never really became completely human friendly. In fact, my friends and I, we used to dare each other, like, dangle your hand down and see if you'll live. Or, hey, who's brave enough to touch Barney's stomach? So that was it. I mean, ever since then, I've had dogs too. Roro, Roman, my pug.
Oh, Roro.
Yeah, which you have some Roman stories. But I love cats. I love those little weirdos. And that's that. Thank you, Barney.
Roro. I have 2 Roro stories that I tell all the time.
Yeah, well, I think Roro almost took your life twice.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So let me give the 2. There were 2, and these were all during this. This both happened during the same 2 weeks. You went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I was house sitting for you. You know, staying at your house, and you had a lot of cool eclectic things, and one of them was Cherry, which for anyone who doesn't know what that is, explain.
Oh, from Pee-wee's Playhouse. I had a replica of the giant chair that talked with the eyeballs, and Cherry. I had Cherry in the house. Yep.
So Roro liked to sleep on Cherry a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I came in I was doing nights at EQX at the time, and I came in, and he's usually very loud when he's sleeping. Yeah, it was
that
a whole
flat pug face, a lot of schnapps in there.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find him, and he's on Cherry, except for he's on his back, and he's like, and his eyes are wide open. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh God.
Oh shit. The worst thing in the world I'm going to do is call Cat in Hawaii and be like, well, the dog's dead. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I go up to him. I go get like a spatula or a wooden spoon or something from the kitchen, and I'm reaching out, and I'm on the phone, and it's ringing to you because I'm pretty sure he's dead. And I poke him with it, and when I poke him, he's like, and I screamed.
He needed a little CPAP. I think he had sleep apnea, the poor dear.
And I was like, And you're like, Darwin? I'm like, the dog is okay.
And I'm like, oh, did you think Roman died? Yeah, we do. We go through that almost every day.
So then the next week, I was wrapping up on the air, and radio stations have a hotline. It's a backdoor number that like the owner has, the boss has, and the police have. And it was, I did my last break on the air at 11:50, and I get off the air, and like a minute later, I'm about to pack up in the studio. The hotline starts flashing, and I'm like, well, that's weird. So I answered it, and this is truly, truly straight out of you can't make this up, okay? It was a dark and stormy night, thunderstorm, lightning, right? It's the Vermont State Police. They want me to get something on the air that a literal mental patient has escaped. And they tell me the vicinity of where they think he is. It is exactly where your house is that I'm headed to alone. And mind you, what made your house less secure? What little fact about your house? What did you not get when you moved in?
A key and a lock.
There were no locks on the doors.
It was in a pretty, it wasn't a rural part of Vermont, but it wasn't the big city either.
No. So I'm driving there. I got on the air and I mentioned it, and I'm driving there. And the closer I get, it starts like, and I pull up because it was a private road, and I pull into the driveway, and of course the power's out. I'm like, oh, this is just getting better by the second. And as I'm going to try to get into the house in the dark, the lights all come on all of a sudden. And of course that scares me. I'm like, okay, calm down. Everything's okay. And I get in the house and I immediately hear Roro. He's alive. I am starving. I'm like, calm down. Go to the kitchen and make a sandwich. You're okay.
That'll fix everything.
Right. So I'm at the counter and I'm making my sandwich. I'm not even at the island. I'm over on the counter that's against the wall. And all of a sudden behind me, I hear... And what happened? Who was coming?
It's the murderer. It's the mental patient on the loose.
Yes! And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And I realize I'm standing directly in front of the knife drawer. So I open the drawer kind of quietly and I reach in and I grab the first handle I can and I turn around and I'm like, don't move! I have a whisk and it's your dog. I was going to whisk the murderer to death, Cat. Of all 50 knives in the drawer, I grabbed the whisk.
A light and fluffy murderer.
Come to find out, this is where it gets even more twisted. I start to see all these police lights show up out front, and I'm like, oh, what now? My heart's like, boom, boom, boom,
I don't know
boom,
if I
boom.
remember this part of it.
Yes. They caught him in your next door neighbor's garage.
What? Wait.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
The next house down the road,
The
he
mental
was...
patient?
Yes. Yes.
He was looking for a whisk.
But he also apparently didn't try your door because he would have just got right in. Like,
Why the hell didn't we get that fixed? What was in my mind? Like,
because you had a whisk.
I have a whisk. I'm fine. I'd rather just get cable first. Like, I had priorities.
Okay, so let's pivot back to my parents' dogs. I know I'm on a roll here. After Mitzi died, my mother decided to adopt a golden retriever, and she got it from this like person that would inbreed them, and it was a scam artist, whatever, and whatever. And fun fact, I think you know this. I can't stand golden retrievers. I think they're some of the stupidest. Yeah.
It used to be poodles, but then one day you woke up and you're like, you know what? I'm fine with those guys now. Now my wrath is pointed at golden retrievers.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's exact. Like, they are so dopey and stupid, not even in a cute way. So you remember Maisie?
Oh God, Maisie! Oh my God, yes.
She was obese, disgusting, dirty, refused to get bathed, stunk, gross. She had like herpes in her eye or something. Nice dog, but stupid.
Oh.
And I have dozens of stories, but do you remember the towel incident?
Yes. Yes. In fact, I was just telling Eric, my husband, the towel story. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stop telling this because Darwin's going to tell the towel story and nobody tells it better.
Oh, so among the many stupid things this moronic dog did, eating and swallowing washcloths and hand towels was probably top level for her, okay? And one night she's outside. They had a dog around my parents, and I was still living with my parents right after college. So this is about a year before you and I worked at EQX together. And my mother's calling up to my room. She's like, Brian, there's something hanging out of the dog's ass. Can you go outside and take care of it?
No kid wants to hear that.
No, and I was like 22, maybe? Still a kid. And I'm thinking, not my job. No, I'm not taking care of whatever this stupid dog ate.
Did not sign up for this, Ma. No.
I'm not taking care of it. Nope. So I go out there and I'm squinting and I see it's a towel, but it's like hanging out. And I think it's a bigger hand towel. And I'm like, I'm a bit of a germaphobe. What do you do? How do you deal with this? So 22-year-old me, and this dog's just running back and forth going, yeah, you got a towel hanging out of your ass. I mean, that's why you're going, stop moving so I can figure it out. And so she runs by me and I just impulsively, stupidly, I just stomped on the towel. It's like, whoop, and the dog's like, Arr!
You flossed her insides with that towel.
I was like, I found out later that was a bad thing to do. I left the towel in the yard. So I get inside and my mother's like, where's the towel? I'm like, you go get it. You go get it. Well, that's an expensive towel. I'm like, nobody is using that again, Mom. Okay. Oh,
that's our bath sheet. It's not a cheap beach towel.
Oh, poor Mom. She was always so offended when we make fun of Maisie on the radio. But
I
come
feel
on
bad
now.
because Maisie was a living creature, one of God's creatures, and we love all God's creatures, but she was really disgusting.
She was a lump of stupid eating washcloths and towels for fun, Cat.
I know.
Literally the opening to Wife Swap. I got to dig up this clip here. One of the first things you hear on national TV, my poor mother, is about Maisie lumbering toward Maisie dying. We're making fun of Maisie dying.
It was bad enough when she would happen to tune in and on our regional morning show, we're making fun of Maisie. And then she sits down to watch Wife Swap, national television, international. We're still goofing on Maisie's ass towel.
I have to laugh at everything that scares me. I can't be too serious.
My mom's dog, it's no dad.
Maisie went toward the light. Actually, she just lumbered toward it.
My poor mother is so proud her son and his friend Cat are going to be on national TV. And what's the first thing that comes up?
They made it big.
Her dead dog.
Just allow me to rant for a sec. Have you ever noticed that the people who say they love animals are usually dog people talking only about dogs? Well, let me give you a case in point, okay?
Mm-hmm.
My last office job. Bunch of people are gathering, just kind of near my cube, and I overhear something about pet pics. Ooh, and everyone's going, ooh, we love our animals so much. So in my awkward attempt at being a normal human who interacts with other humans, I go over and I ooh and ah at their pics too, which, by the way, were all dogs. So I whip out my phone and I show a picture of my cats, and everyone's face dropped. And one said, oh, cats. And they all looked sour and the mood just died. Okay, here's the thing. Cat people will always say, oh, what a cute dog. And dog people are like, gross. I hate cats. Ew.
That's true. I've noticed it, but I've never thought about it.
I'm in the elevator in our building here. And people will have their dogs and I'll ask their names. May I pet them? We talk about it. I'm always nice about dogs. And I'm thinking in my mind, if I tell them about being Biscuit and Girly, they'd be like, that's disgusting.
Let's go back to my parents' wild wheel of dogs. Next, they got one named Zoe. Not as deficient in the IQ department as Maisie, but a rotten avocado would win that race. And Zoe wasn't gross, but was really annoying. This dog was just annoying. And I wasn't really living there. It was kind of like we'd go over, there's Zoe. And then 7 years later, she dies too.
Okay, so what is up with the 7 years thing? Is it like the 27 Club, like Kurt Cobain? Like, why 7?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's not 7 exactly, but roughly, approximately. So truthfully, my parents love dogs, but they weren't the best at owning them. So like dogs need to be walked, not put on a dog run. Dogs need to be fed dog food, not anything that falls on the floor, whatever we're eating. And like Buster, who we'll talk about later, my Buster, you know, he lived to be 15 because I was super good about no people food in that he had to be walked and he was very, you know, so at least it made kind of a funny moment. Again, Mom, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. After Zoe died, my mother, you know, my husband and I are at the house and my parents are there. And my mother just goes, I don't know. I think there's something in this house killing our pets. And without missing a beat, I go, yeah, it's you.
How'd that go over?
She did not find that amusing. Chris thought it was funny. Some of my best comedy. But then we find out just like a few weeks later, the municipal water supply has actually been contaminated with PFOA and that actually might have been killing the dogs. So, yeah.
That was a huge scandal in your town, which I have to give you credit. You really fought against. Rose up. Yeah. You were a big voice of that movement for clean water. So
I actually was very much so. And it was, I sometimes forget that. It was a lot of work, but they could have actually been what was killing the dogs. Although I thought it was being comedic and funny. My parents were good to their dogs. They weren't, you know.
It doesn't help though when they eat towels.
You know, I'm thinking about this. All the pets I've had growing up, not as an adult, all had like these bizarre ends. So when we moved into a new house, I was 5. I just turned 5, maybe 4 or 5. So my brother was maybe 2. I had this huge fish tank, and my friend from across the street, when I moved away or they moved away, I forget which one of us moved first, was like, I want you to have my fish. And this was like my first friend in life, right? And it was this beautiful angelfish, and I loved it. I was so proud of it. Until some like drunk redneck loser friend of my dad.
Oh no, it's going to get sad. Let me prepare.
Yes.
It's going to get sad. I'm very sensitive. Okay.
One of them, I'll just say it quick. So we'll get.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the moron friend told my little brother, who's like 2, to pour the bottle of beer into the fish tank.
Oh.
And the only fish that dies is my angelfish.
Oh.
Of course. There it is floating, and I'm like,
the other one became an alcoholic.
Buster. I want you to talk about Buster.
Okay.
My buddy.
Okay. Buster was king of all dogs.
Buster, best dog ever.
He was my heart. He was your heart. He was everybody's best friend. And I'm saying this as a cat person. I'm saying that I'm getting teary. I loved Buster like he was my own dog. He looked like he could smile. I loved his tail. It would go up and it looked like it was a flag waving, the proud Buster flag. And he had this really funny trick that you could say anything to him in a positive voice and he would spin in a circle and be really happy about it. Do you want to share what those words were that were his favorite?
Well, initially it'd be like, he loved going for an RIDE in the CAR, but you could say things to him like, Buster, do you want to go get euthanized? And he'd be like, oh, yes.
Oh, go get euthanized. And he'd go in a circle and he'd go in a circle. And we would.
Buster, you want to get your balls cut off? Yes. Yes. And he had the one ear that was always flopped down. And he was just the best personality of, and I'm not just saying it was my dog, because I feel like so many people, when he died, were really like,
it hit me.
It was, yeah. And he was, I got him when I was in Arizona. He was found on the side of the road on the Navajo Nation. And it was a dog rescue group who didn't even realize he was there. He might have been 3 months old. They don't know how he survived. And they were picking up another dog that was not related, and they found him. And the person I was dating at the time and I went to a pet rescue event, and he wasn't paying any attention to anybody, but he looked at me and came right up to the side of the cage. And I was like, I need to take this dog home. And he had a name. I hated the name he had. His name was
what was it?
Prince.
Prince?
Yeah, it was stupid.
On the cover of Love Sexy All Naked, Prince? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
Then he became the artist known as Buster.
Yes. So we were driving, and this is so college of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to the boyfriend at the time. I'm like, that name's dumb. He's like, well, would you have a better suggestion? So I start going through like names of alcohol, And I start going to the names of bars. I'm like, San Felipe, no. Maloney's, no. All these bars that used to be in
Harvey
Flagstaff.
Wallbanger. No, that doesn't really roll off the tongue.
But there was a place in Flagstaff called Buster's. And I happened to say, I was like, I don't know. Speaking of which, so-and-so wants to meet us later at Buster's. And I see in the back seat, he perks up. And I said,
He picked his own name.
yeah. And I was like, Buster. And he looks again and he turns his head. I'm like, that's his name. And he traveled cross country with me multiple times. He used to go to work with me at the radio station all the time. Like, he was always with me. And he just was, it's so hard to describe the personality this dog had. And I got so lucky to have such an incredible animal with me for just under 15 years. And it was, you know, he lost his hearing toward the end, but he was still a good boy. Good, just amazing. I just could go on about him forever. And I still miss him.
I miss him too. R.I.P. Buster. We will love you forever. I want to mention something about fish. 6th grade, I was at a carnival and I won a goldfish. And which,
typical.
Looking back, is kind of, I think, a nightmare for parents, because all you're doing is bringing your parent a problem that's going to die if they don't deal with the problem very quickly. So to my parents' credit, I got a bowl. Soon my dad upgraded me with, you know, a fish tank, which he would clean, and had other goldfish in it. We didn't have tropical fish because those are for the rich kids. Like, we did not. Yeah, we didn't have a heater, but we just had these like chunky goldfish. So all these years later, I am still having dreams, which are recurring nightmares, that I find my fish in their old fish tank and I haven't fed them in decades. And I'm looking around, I'm trying to get pet food, I'm trying to get the fish flakes, and then I can't find any, and then my teeth are loose because it's a dream and it just sucks. And I clearly probably need more therapy. So
yes,
hoping you cheer me up here.
Let me give you one last Buster story. How's that? So when Chris and I got together, he obviously fell in love with Chris and was like, you're my other human. Oh my God, this is the best. And he would go, and whenever we got home, he would be so excited. He would tap his front feet, tap, 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 tap. He always did this thing like tap, 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 tap. And when we came in the house, whether it was both or one of us, he would always go get 3 pieces of food from his bowl, and he would throw them up in the air, and he would tap, 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 tap. And then he would eat one, and then he would tap his paws to the others. And we always thought he wouldn't eat the other 2 until we were both home or we both were ready to eat. So it was like he was giving us, it was always 3.
Sharesy. Oh,
yeah.
How'd it
was
taste?
a good boy. Delicious. Now, I will say there was one time I was at your house with Buster, and he loved cats. He was so good with kitties. He actually knew Mr. Henry, the cat we have now. Their lives did cross. But I remember one time we were in your garden by your pool, and Buster was there, and Dave Kitty, I love Dave, but Dave Kitty appeared out of a bush and was like, wow! And Buster just sat there and looked at me like,
what do I do, man? I'm one of the good ones.
What do I do? What do I do? But he didn't growl at Dave Kitty. He didn't bite him. He just looked at me like, what do I do? And I was like, it's a, poor, and you felt so bad, but Dave Kitty I love Dave Kitty.
You know, he was my soul cat, and I would love to talk about the glorious Dave Kitty, my soul cat for life.
Dave Kitty, the greatest cat of all time.
So, I don't know if you can see it. I have a tattoo.
Yes.
Of
there
Dave.
He is.
There's David. And if you can see, there's like, these are the stars of heaven that he's standing on, but it just looks like he's pooping stars. But, oh, well, we all have a tattoo we wish we could fix. So when I moved out of my parents' house, I headed straight for the heart of Hollywood. And I moved into an apartment building that was built in the 1920s, and it hadn't been maintained since then. It was cheap and it was scary, but I was on my own, and it felt great. That's what I wanted. And my neighbors were all like low-income welfare folks or creatives. Like Candy Del Mar from the Cramps lived in the apartment above me. It felt very cool to be where it was. Well, it wasn't actually cool, because I found out after signing my lease that this was a really dangerous place. And the first night I was there, my neighbor found a dead guy in the trash. Well, actually, he
What?
found half of a dead guy in the trash.
That's not better.
Yeah, and the produce truck out front. Oh, how nice. Fresh produce. Just go out front. Did they sell lettuce? Nope. Heroin. They were selling heroin. I heard gunshots all night. Oh, my God. Darwin, there was a mariachi band 2 doors down, and they would start rehearsing at midnight and play till 6 a.m., and everyone was too afraid to tell them to shut the hell up. So it was turning out to be kind of a miserable experience, except for this little black cat who would jump into my window and hang out with me. And he belonged to my neighbor who I met, really nice guy. And he told me his name was Dave. And Dave was the smartest, sweetest little kitty I'd ever met. Like, I'd see him, I'd go, Dave, and he'd wave. He'd do the Dave wave, and he was just so sweet.
Yes.
His Dave wave. And his origin story, he came from a trash can that was tipped over outside of a porno theater. This is very Hollywood. So my neighbor spotted something moving, and this poor little black cat had been living on discarded corn dog sticks from a porno theater. Porno corn dogs. He had it worse than I did, seriously. So Dave and I bonded over the next year, and he pretty much became my cat, but he wasn't. You know, he was my neighbor's cat, and my lease was coming up, and I was moving, and it broke my heart to have to leave him, but I did.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm in my new place, and I just can't stop thinking about Dave.
Well, did you call your old neighbor just to check in? Hey, how's Dave Kitty? And I know this is...
Yeah, this was before most people had cell phones, and I didn't know how to get in touch with the guy. So I broke into his apartment.
Cat, what?
Hear me out. Okay.
I didn't know this story.
Yeah, this is crazy. I was completely obsessed with Dave, and I knew that my neighbor kept his back door slightly open so Dave could come in and out because Dave was kind of half wild. So I went back to my old building, and I climbed over the security fence, and I was in. Voila! I found the back door, and it was open.
You are acting very much like a cat right now.
I
can
know,
I just say? So did you stole Dave from the apartment?
No. I mean, I'm not a criminal. I'll break into your house, but I won't take anything. I left a note, and it said, "Dear neighbor's name, this is Kat, your old next door neighbor. If you ever find yourself unable to keep or care for Dave, or just need a pet sitter, call me." And I left my landline number because it was the dark ages.
Did he call?
Mm-hmm. He called. This is so crazy. He called me the next day practically in tears. He said he has to move suddenly and was having to surrender Dave to a shelter because nobody would take him. And he didn't know how to get in touch with me. He said this was a miracle. And Dave was with me for the next 17 years through my radio career, having my son, many more life changes. And it makes me think, pets are markers in time, and my Dave years were a steady piece of my life that held everything else together. And, oh God, I'm going to cry, but now you have a cat, Mr. Henry. So maybe just while I weep over here at a corner, you can tell me how you ended up with him.
That's so well said. That is so well said, Kat. It's true. All right, well, we kind of kidnapped him, but it was with permission. We
More
had this
cat crimes.
we had a neighbor next door, and she liked to adopt cats to go get mice. That was her thing. He was primarily an outdoor cat. Well, we notice he starts hanging out in our yard, and that we haven't seen her around. Her grass is getting overgrown, and we're like, something's weird. But they're not really here every day to take care of the cat. And he just starts hanging out in our yard. He starts living in the garden. He starts hanging out with Chris. And then slowly over time, he's hanging out with Buster because Buster was still alive. And then one day I was teaching summer school, and I get home from work at noon, 12:30, whatever. And he's in the house. I'm like, how the hell did this cat get in? And Chris didn't let him in. So it kept happening. And slowly but surely he was moving in because the neighbor comes back, and then her daughter, son-in-law, and her grandkids all move in. And Mr. Henry does not like too much chaos. I don't want to say chaos, but it's busy,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, he's hanging out at our house. He'll be in the window. We'd hear meow, and he'd be on the window behind the couch. Let me in. So winter comes and we have this week where it's like below 0.
Oof.
And he had been in our house and we're like, we're not letting him out. We are not, this poor cat. And he's with us for about a week. And Chris is like, well, we better go get a litter box. I'm like, and thus it begins. Because he had bonded with Chris. And then the weather breaks and Chris tries to bring him back. And Chris has just gotten this nice new puffer jacket. And when they answered the door, they're like, Mr. Henry. And he's like, wow. And he shreds Chris's coat. Brand new coat.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Chris comes in back to our house through the door and it's like shredded. I'm like, oh my God, what
That
happened?
went well.
He's like, he didn't want to go home. You think?
Either that or he just really likes to critique Chris's fashion choices.
Yes. So he comes waltzing right in the door behind Chris. He's like, meow, 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 meow. Like, all right. We started feeding him regularly. He was coming to our house, not hers. One time the poor woman sees him in the front yard and she's like, Mr. Henry. And he's like, wow, and runs away. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad. And then he ended up with a UTI. It was right before we moved to the new house and he peed all over our couch, which I'm like, oh, we'll buy a new couch, whatever. And we're taking him to the vet regularly and we're trying to figure out what to do because we're moving within the same place from one house to another, but we're not sure. I don't know. Do we take him? Do we not? Do we talk to her? So finally we were about to move to the new house and I sent her a text. I was like, so we've been taking him to the vet and feeding him and this and that. I mean, can we keep him? She goes, I guess he's yours now. He doesn't want to come home to me anymore. And I'm like, okay. So we moved to the new house with him. He doesn't love me because I'm loud. I'm clumsy. I walk heavy. He loves Chris. If Chris isn't home, he'll get on my lap or he'll come to me and be like, you'll do. And we always do this voice for him, but he's like a British voice. Like, he'll see me and be like, you're here? Why? Leave. Go away.
Peasant.
Oh, we joke he's trying to kill me. He's the sweetest cat in the world too. So it's even funnier we joke he's trying to kill me, which he actually recently tried to kill me. He loves me.
How did he try to kill you?
I was on a step ladder and I was fixing a smoke detector with my arm that I had the surgery on. I got my scar right and I'm reading it up and I had my other hand on top of the door and he comes in, he starts rubbing, on the door and the door's like, and I go boom with the step ladder and everything. I almost hit where I had the surgery, had my knee, I was limping for like 2 weeks and I was like, oh my God, you actually did try to kill me.
He saw you up there and he was like, finally my chance. It'll just be other daddy and I forever.
So Chris came home and he's like, what happened? Because I'm limping, got the bruise everywhere. And he's like, did he run? I go, well, he went out to the living room and looked at me and was like, ha, my work is done. Wait, he's moving. God damn it, it's not dead. Son of a bitch. Foiled again. Daddy, I tried to get rid of him so we could be together. So he's a great cat, though. We love him.
Hey, thanks for finding Darwin and Cat Pop Culture Garbage Barge. If you like what you hear, please follow, tell a friend, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It's really helping keep this barge afloat. Just a few things to announce. Check out our social media on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok. Please like and comment. It helps us so much. And there you can see our little bursts of funny, behind-the-scenes stuff like a meatball dance and what Darwin and I look like. Again, I promise it's not too scary. Again, thanks so much. And here's the part I say every week, and I can't say it enough. We really, truly appreciate you.
Get on the boat and relive the pain. Helmet hair is rising like a hurricane. My cat's my best friend, and so is my bike. I'm chasing radio signals for any signs of life. Pop culture garbage barge, growing up weird made us who we are. Pop culture garbage barge, get on the boat, dork, and bring your emotional scars. Darwin and Cat on a garbage barge.